The immediate crisis that's on the front pages is the financial crisis. The credit system has frozen, so banks don't lend to each other, they don't trust each other. You want to get the housing market has collapsed. These are things that, of course, influence people's lives directly, so it's not happening kind of in the stratosphere. But it does, the visible crisis, the one that's discussed, has to do with finance.
How likely is world capital to vote no faith any longer in U.S. Treasury bonds? Is that really a possibility?
No, in fact, they're fleeing to U.S. Treasury
now,
bonds.
but they're in this push-pull. Either they have to defend it or abandon it, and right now they're defending it. Is there any choice to abandon it, or they really don't have one?
No, because the United States is far, despite all the crisis, it's far and away the richest and most powerful country in the world, and if the United States tanks, the world economy will tank. So it's a safe bet. If you want security, yes, get Treasury bonds. But the system has unacceptable risk built into it. In financial institutions, it's far worse. They're in the business of taking risks. If they're well managed, say Goldman Sachs, they calculate the potential cost to themselves if there's a loss, but the important words are to themselves. They don't calculate in what's called systemic risk, the effect on the whole system if I go bust, and there's a huge effect. The result is that risk-taking is underpriced, meaning there's a lot more of it than there would be in a reasonable system. When the $700 billion bailout was announced, the public was outraged. There was furious objection, so much so that the House of Representatives had to vote it down. If we put money into the banks, pour liquidity into the banks, we can pour it in and they'll pour it out. Mergers and acquisitions, anything for their own benefit, because that's what they're in business for their benefit, not for our benefit. So he said we have to have veto power. Well, veto power means voting rights. And if it's a real democracy, voting rights means popular participation and initiative. Well, the initiative should be coming from the population, like with healthcare, where the population has definite views. But the country is so depoliticized that popular views are considered politically impossible, lacking political support. Well, that's what's called a democratic deficit, formal democratic institutions, but not functioning. And we have to overcome that. That underlies lots of issues.